It was no ordinary day at the beach when Raymond Roth walked into the water and went missing. After a frantic 4-day search, his wife was planning his funeral.
But there was some other planning going on. Raymond planning what drink to order next and what level of sunscreen to wear in order to celebrate his newfound freedom, and not in the afterlife. It's a familiar fantasy. Dump your old life for a one-way ticket to paradise. It is the daydream of a million midlife crises. Raymond Roth decided to hit reset on his life a few weeks before his 48th birthday. His grand exit began with a day at the beach in New York and a great big lie.
It's like surreal, kinda, you know?
John Roth, a 22-year-old former Marine, shows us the exact spot where his father got in over his head.
I'm afraid that my dad might just show up out of nowhere, and that would be crazy.
Saturday, July 28th, 2012. The weather? Overcast and cool with a chance of rain. Nevertheless, Raymond and son decide it's a perfect beach day. Neighbor Ron Christian remembers,
he just said, "See you later, we're going to the beach."
At the beach, the Roths choose their spot with care.
We kind of went off over back there. It was a no-swim zone.
Just the place for a swim, Raymond decides.
He took his shirt off, took his shoes off even.
Half an hour later, John sounds the alarm, saying his dad went for a dip and disappeared.
I called my stepmom. I told her I don't know where he is.
Dad went into the water and never came back out.
Ivana and Raymond's marriage was no bed of roses. In fact, they didn't even sleep in the same bed. But still, the news he might be dead hit like a ton of bricks.
She started crying on the phone. She was very upset.
Roth calls 911 and runs for help.
And I told them, I don't know where he is, I can't find him, you gotta help me. And then that's when the whole search went crazy.
Helicopters, lifeguards, the Coast Guard, everybody responds to the scene. And Raymond is not an easy guy to lose.
He's like 6'3", about 280.
Wow. Combing the beach, fishing for Raymond's large body in the sea.
It was a full rescue effort at that time.
But Roth is nowhere to be found.
We're all crying on the beach that, you know, maybe he had a heart attack, maybe, you know, the undertow.
But then, what about this? Among the belongings he left on the beach, a wallet with no driver's license, a cell phone with no calls or texts, and, as Ivana soon discovered, bank accounts with no money.
There was nothing left.
And although it is unclear exactly when, Raymond had also significantly increased,
tripled,
his life insurance. But it would never do anyone any good, because Raymond Roth didn't stay dead.
And then the horror started.
4 days after the disappearance, Ivana Roth stumbles upon her stepson John's open email account. Uh-oh.
All the emails popped up.
She reads a dumbfounding series of secret messages from Raymond sent the day before he went missing. Raymond mentions a last will and testament, speaks of going the distance and getting cash for the trip. Ray warns him to use a payphone to call me at the resort.
And I'm like, I can't believe it, he's alive. We have to call the authorities.
Then Ivana gets a phone call.
He called my name. He was like, Yvonne, and I just hung up the phone. I couldn't believe it was his voice. It was like someone rising from the dead. I thought he was dead.
When Ivana figured out her husband was still alive, she wanted to kill him. Instead, she did the next best thing. She blew the whistle on her allegedly scheming husband and his sidekick, her stepson.
I was planning a funeral for him.
And where in the world was Raymond during his not-so-near-death experience? Tanning in Tahiti? Cooling his heels in Cancun? Posing as a playboy in Paris, perhaps? No. He'd driven his Honda down to his own timeshare at the Westgate Lakes Resort and Spa in Orlando, Florida.
It's hard to believe that anybody would do that and then go to his timeshare. You know, if you're going to do that, you got to disappear for about 10 years.
Meanwhile, his son and alleged co-conspirator makes a full confession. John Roth says one day on the front porch, his father laid out the plan to end his life.
He said, well, I'm just gonna go into the water and not come out, and that'll be it for me. And I was like, what? Are you kidding? Like, you're just gonna try to kill yourself? And he goes, no, I'll be in Florida. You know, like he was, ta-da, you know, like.
What was the plan?
He said that my role was to just convince everybody that he was dead. And once that happened, I would collect on the monies and deliver the monies to him in Florida.
And then that day in July, it's go time.
And he said, okay, here's all my things. I'm leaving. See you later, bye. You wait 30 minutes, and then you tell everybody I'm missing.
Roth denies it, but John says his father has physically abused him for years and forced him to take part in the scheme by threatening him with death. The real kind, not like his fake one.
You had to participate in the big lie.
Yes, because if I didn't, I would die, and anyone who I told about this would die.
And why should that threat be believed?
I mean, he's a violent person. Not only that, he has a ton of weapons in the house.
And even as a former Marine, you didn't feel you could defend yourself?
Not against weapons, especially if I don't have any.
As for Raymond, his dream of a cosmic do-over dashed, he heads for home in his Honda. On the way, his lucky streak continues. He's stopped for speeding.
I got a guy on a traffic stop that's listed as missing involuntary.
Raymond is sent on his way. Turns out being a missing person, not a crime, but insurance fraud is. And those are the charges waiting for him when he finally resurfaces in New York.
Do you have anything to say to your family?
Where it seems nobody loves Raymond.
Where are you running from?
Great, now is the time to apologize.
Raymond says the life insurance angle was his son's idea. He had nothing to do with that. But prosecutors are charging both men. And so ends one man's fatally flawed plan. Raymond Roth will have to live with the consequences, but not with his wife. She is filing for divorce. But this may be the harshest realization of all. Instead of a bachelor pad timeshare down south, Raymond may be sharing a prison cell upstate.